Incredible discovery, young billionaire learns homeless twins are his long-lost daughters at last. Michael Bennett stood at the edge of his successful empire, a self-made billionaire in the heart of Chicago, the skyline a testament to his climb from the depths of poverty. In his late 30s, he had established a life most could only dream about. Yet, despite the designer suits and luxury cars, a shadow loomed over him, a painful past filled with echoes of his younger self, suffocated under the weight of choices made in desperation. The memories haunted him, each corner of the bustling city reminding him of the family he abandoned, believing it was the only way to break free from the cycle of struggle. On this fateful afternoon, dressed in tailored attire, Michael stepped out of his sleek car, ready for a charity event meant to showcase his philanthropy. But as he strode onto the cold, grimy pavement, his heart jolted. Under the bridge nearby, two teenage twins Nina and Noah sheltered together, shivering in worn clothes. Their faces, though grimy, were illuminated by a resilience that stopped him in his tracks. Their world was the stark opposite of his, marked by survival amidst the concrete jungle, yet he felt inexplicably drawn to them. He approached cautiously, each step echoing uncertainty in his chest. "Hey, are you guys okay?" he asked, his voice a mixture of compassion and disbelief. When they looked up, their eyes held stories of hardship. They spoke of a mother who had vanished, leaving them to fend for themselves in a world that seemed to have forgotten them. The connection he felt tightened painfully around his heart. Could their mother be someone from his past? He was about to discover something that would change his life forever. Concern furrowed his brow as he leaned closer. Nina's eyes widened, filled with a mix of hope and skepticism, while Noah fidgeted, unsure what to think of this immaculate man with a heart seemingly as guarded as theirs. And then it happened, the stunning revelation that shook him to the core. They weren't just victims of the system, they were his long-lost daughters. The breath caught in his throat as the reality hit him. "Wait, you're my daughters?" The words felt foreign as they scraped from his throat. Time stood still around them, and he watched their expressions flicker between shock and discomfort, and a hint of anger. "Why should we believe you?" Nina shot back, arms crossed defiantly. Michael's heart sank deeper. Could he blame them? He was merely a stranger in a tailored suit, a stark contrast to their reality. He took a deep breath, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions threatening to consume him. "I've been searching, trying to make things right." The mere mention of rectifying his past opened old wounds for both sides, and all at once, the world felt heavy. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Their subsequent interactions felt like a dance through wreckage, Michael offering a warm meal, a safe place to stay, and each rejection stung like 1,000 needles driven into his heart. The twins hesitated, caught between a glimmer of hope and the harsh reality of betrayal. Could this man truly care for them, or was he simply trying to absolve his own guilt? As they navigated their feelings across the cold pavement, the ever-watchful eyes of society scrutinized Michael. The glaring contrast between his wealth and their struggle stood as a painful reminder of the socio-economic divide. Was he the savior they needed, or just another fleeting figure, lost in the chaos of a city where dreams could shatter just as quickly as they bloomed? The winds of change began to swirl, and soon there would be a moment, an unexpected health scare involving one of the twins that would push Michael to the brink. Would he muster the courage to fight for his family, for the daughters he never knew? Or would the fear of rejection push him once more into the shadows of regret? As he stood before them, tension thick in the air, the question hung heavily between them, leaving the readers eager and breathless for the answer. The air crackled with intensity as Michael shifted from one foot to the other. He felt the weight of his own uncertainty pressing down, every word he wanted to say caught in a tangled web of fear and longing. The twins, his daughters, stood before him, and yet they felt like distant galaxies, so close, yet utterly unreachable. Nina broke the silence first, her voice sharp as a knife. You say you're our dad, but who are you really? You have no idea what we've been through. Her eyes burned with indignation, and Michael could feel the heat of her words like a slap. He paused, swallowing hard, trying to find the right way to bridge the chasm between them. I know I can't change the past. But I want to understand. I want to help. Noah shifted nervously, his brows knit together as he glanced at his sister. How can you help? You're just a rich guy looking for a good story. The doubt in his voice echoed the doubts in Michael's own heart. Had he really come to save them, or was this, like so many things in his life, just to soothe the guilt gnawing at him? Michael felt a rush of emotion clawing at the back of his throat. No. It's not like that. I've spent years regretting my choices. I left you both of you when all I wanted was to break free. I had no idea. He took a breath and felt the tension lessen just a bit, the truth spilling from him like a dam breaking. I never wanted you to suffer. Tears brimmed in Nina's eyes, and for a moment, he thought he saw her wall crack, but then it hardened again, like the stone they stood on. You can't just say you're sorry and expect us to forgive you. It's not that simple. I don't expect forgiveness. Just a chance. Michael dug deep, feeling the raw ache of truth in his bones. Let me show you I can be part of your lives, if you'll let me. But his words hung in the air, heavy and thick, as the cold wind whipped around them, echoing their doubts. Michael's resolve wavered, any hope of connection fading momentarily under the weight of their anger and hurt. Just then, a loud shout echoed from the street near the bridge, jarring them from their standoff. A street vendor was bellowing about the best hot dogs in the city, his energy juxtaposing the heavy atmosphere. The sight drew Noah's attention, and it was as if a flicker of curiosity sparked in his eyes. We should go. It's freezing out here, he muttered, almost to himself. Maybe we should get something to eat, Nina added, her tone softening a fraction, though skepticism lingered in her gaze. If you're serious about helping, you can start by buying us dinner. Michael nodded fervently. Absolutely. Anything you want. The sense of relief momentarily washed over him. Maybe this was a sign, a foothold he could use to rebuild their trust. They stepped away from the grimy bridge, navigating through the bustling crowd, an awkward truce in the making. Michael's heart raced as anticipation filled the air. Was this the first step towards mending the broken pieces of their family? Yet looming in the background was the sudden reality that another storm was brewing, one that could shift everything once again. A sharp gasp erupted from Nina as they approached the vendor. She stumbled, collapsing onto the sidewalk with a pained expression. Michael. Noah's voice rang out with panic, and time stood still as Michael rushed towards them, the sound of his own heart thundering in his ears. What had happened? Would he lose them again before he ever had a chance to bring them together? The question hung heavily as he knelt beside Nina, fear coursing through him. Would this moment forever alter the fragile bond they were just beginning to forge? Kneeling on the cold pavement, Michael's mind raced. Nina's eyes were wide, fear mingling with pain. What happened? He asked, voice thick with panic. He reached out to her, hesitant, unsure if he should touch her. I don't know, she stammered, her hand pressed against her stomach. I just felt dizzy and then everything went black. Noah hovered beside them, his expression grim, the boy's bravery shining through sheer worry. We should get her to a hospital. Now. He turned to Michael, desperation pouring from him. Do something. Michael sprang into action, adrenaline overwhelming his doubt. Okay. He scanned the street, searching for help. He noticed the vendor, still calling out orders nearby, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding just a few feet away. I'll get a cab. Just stay with her. He dashed to the curb, waving his arms like mad to capture any driver's attention. A yellow cab screeched to a halt, and Michael didn't hesitate. He opened the door and called back, we need to get to a hospital. Fast. By the time he returned, Nina was still on the ground, and Noah knelt beside her, a fistful of her hair clenched in protectiveness as he murmured soothing words. "Help is coming, Nina. Just hold on." "Noah," she whispered, breath shallow. "I feel so weak." That statement knocked the air from Michael's lungs. What was he doing? He'd just taken the first steps toward reconnecting, only to face the threat of losing them both again, not to abandonment this time, but to something altogether more tragic. As he helped Noah lift Nina into the back seat, he felt a swell of sheer determination. This was how their story was meant to go. He'd been given a chance, and he wouldn't let it slip through his fingers again. "Stay with me, Nina," Michael said, squeezing her hand. "We're going to get you to the hospital. It'll be all right." The cab sped through the streets, sirens and city sounds blurring into a chaotic symphony. But as they rushed, an unsettling thought clawed at Michael's mind. Was this a symptom of something deeper? Every moment they had spent apart seemed overshadowed by this urgency. He had all the money in the world now, but none of it could shield them from the trials of life. "I thought you were supposed to look out for us," Nina gasped. I will," he said, feeling panic surfacing again. "I'll do better. I just need not that." "It doesn't matter what you say now," she interrupted, her frustration rising. "We are tired of promises." The cab jolted to a stop in front of the hospital, and Michael's heart raced as he scrambled out. Everything felt surreal: the sterile air, the fluorescent lights. They were colors that captured the gravity of the situation in a way he had never wanted. Noah practically pulled Nina from the back seat, and Michael rushed to help. "We'll get you inside." As they hurried through the sliding doors, a wave of guilt washed over him. He had stepped back into their lives yet again, but was he bringing hope or chaos? They made it into the reception area, but the moment was shattered by a voice behind them. "Michael?" He turned, recognizing the familiar face of a journalist he knew from his past life. "What are you doing here?" she asked, eyes narrowing as she noticed the scene. "Not now," Michael snapped, irritation flaring to life. "It's not what you think." But already, her pen glided over the notepad, capturing every detail. Was this going to be another sensational headline? Another twisted narrative for the world to digest? He couldn't think about that now. As the nurse approached, he turned back to Noah and Nina, but the shadows in their eyes reminded him that the real story was their pain. "Please, just be okay," he murmured under his breath, feeling so small in the face of their hurt. "Once this is over," he thought, "I'll prove I'm not the man I used to be." The fight for their bond was just beginning, and he had no idea how far it might lead. Would he finally be able to protect them from their past, or was he tripped up by the unraveling secrets that began this whole ordeal? Michael's heart raced louder than the machines beeping around them in the emergency room. The fluorescent lights felt almost blinding, casting unflattering shadows on the worried faces surrounding him. Nurses moved with organized urgency, their movements a collaboration he couldn't quite grasp. All he could focus on was the sound of Nina's labored breaths and the way Noah clutched her hand like it was the last connection he had to whatever was left of their shared world. "Please, let her be okay," he whispered again, but the universe didn't seem to hear him. Nina's eyes fluttered closed as they wheeled her away. Doctors were shouting directions, and everything felt surreal, the chaos enveloping them like a thick fog. He stood there, frozen, a storm of emotions raging inside him. Guilt clawed at his insides. How could he have let things come to this? The realization that they weren't just friends but family sunk in like a lead weight. "Michael." Noah's voice cut through his thoughts. The boy's expression was torn between fear and an urgent plea. "Are we going to lose her?" "No," Michael said, though his own heart doubted the conviction in his voice. "Nina's strong. She'll pull through." Noah blinked back tears, and Michael felt his own eyes prick at their corners. It wasn't fair for either of them to bear this weight. Not again. A sudden wave of determination surged through him. He had fought his own battles to be here, now he would fight for them. Stay here, he instructed Noah, who was trembling but trying to be brave. I'll find out what's going on. He darted toward the nurse's station, adrenaline powering his every movement. The nurse stationed there glanced up, and he could see her professional mask slipping under the weight of the situation. Excuse me, he started, barely able to keep his voice steady. What's happening with Nina? Is she, sir? You can't be here, I know. But she's important to me. I just need to know she's okay. The nurse softened, taking pity on him. We're doing everything we can. Just, please wait. A doctor will be in to speak with you soon. Michael nodded, stepping back reluctantly. He could feel the world spinning around him, familiar faces having become blurred in the backdrop of his life. All that mattered was in that emergency room. He turned back to Noah, who was watching him intently. The boys shifted uneasily, and Michael could sense the weight of unasked questions looming between them. What are you thinking? Michael asked gently, kneeling to meet Noah's gaze. I don't know, man. I just want her to wake up. She always takes care of us, and now I'm here, Michael asserted, a newfound courage warming his chest. I promise I won't let you feel alone in this. Noah swallowed hard, the uncertainty still etched on his young face. But what if she doesn't wake up? What happens then? Something in the pit of Michael's stomach twisted at the thought. Noah, listen. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. You and me, we've always had each other's back. A flicker of hope danced in Noah's eyes, but then a shadow crossed his face. But she's got to know how much she means to us. What if I never get to tell her? The word struck Michael like a punch. We can't think like that. He straightened up, trying to project strength. Let's think about the good times, the memories will draw on that for strength. Just then, a doctor came through the doorway. His expression was serious, but there was a hint of empathy there, too. Michael? He called, and both of them turned. Can we speak for a moment? The weight of uncertainty settled heavily on Michael's shoulders once more. He looked at Noah, who held his breath in anticipation. Whatever news was coming next, he had to be prepared for anything. As the doctor led Michael away, he glanced back briefly. Noah was still standing there, eyes wide, hoping for a miracle. Michael couldn't shake the feeling that everything hinged on this discussion, and whatever secrets lay ahead could change their lives forever. Am I going to lose her? He thought, fearful of what this conversation might reveal. Would the truth bring hope or heartbreak? The doctor's office felt like a cage, its sterile walls closing in on Michael. He followed the doctor down a long corridor, each step echoing with uncertainty. The bright lights overhead flickered, casting shadows that danced along the floor similar to the flickers of hope in his heart. Michael, I know this is a tough situation, the doctor began, his tone gentle but firm. He gestured for Michael to take a seat. I need to talk to you about Nina's condition. Michael sat, his pulse racing. Is she going to be okay? His voice trembled, betraying the hope he fought to keep alive. The doctor took a breath, his gaze steady. She suffered significant injuries, and we're doing everything we can. But she is currently in critical condition. We need to monitor her closely. I can't promise anything. The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Michael felt the world tilt beneath him, the floor almost pulling him under. But she is strong, he insisted, trying to find a shred of certainty. I've seen her get through tough times. She can't leave us. I understand, the doctor replied softly. Just, be prepared. It's going to be a tough road ahead. Michael nodded, half of him wanting to scream and the other half just wanting to leap across the table and shake the doctor for better answers. How could life be so brutal? As the doctor continued to explain details about Nina's treatment, Michael's mind wandered. Images of Nina playing catch with Noah, laughing as she tossed him a ball, filled his thoughts. Her soft smile, the way her laughter lit up the room, it all felt so far away. Michael? The doctor's voice broke through his reverie. You'll want to let Noah know what's going on. He deserves to be included. Right, Michael said, trying to focus again. Thank you. But he felt paralyzed. How could he share this weight of uncertainty with Noah? What if he broke the boy's spirit? As he stood and turned to leave, the doctor placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember, it's important for both of you to express your feelings. Don't hide your worries. It's okay to be scared. Michael forced a smile and nodded, but he felt anything but okay. He stepped back into the waiting area, his heart pounding against his ribs. Noah was still sitting there, hands clenched tightly together. What did the doctor say? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Michael swallowed hard, wishing he could deflect the question, offer something happier, something hopeful. Instead, he squeezed Noah's shoulder reassuringly. Nina, she's fighting. But it's going to be tough, kid. We've got to be strong for her. Noah's big eyes filled with tears, but he nodded. Can we see her? Soon, I hope, Michael said, though dread curled in his stomach. How would they face that moment? But first, let us remember all the good she's done for us. Let us think of the stories you want to tell her when she wakes up. Like that time yes. Exactly. Michael smiled, grateful for Noah's willingness to recall their happy memories. He felt the strength in that moment, like a fragile thread starting to weave their fears into something more. But hope was gnawing at the edges of Michael's resolve. Each detail of Nina's care weighed heavily on him. He had to believe that she would wake up, that she would fight her way back to them. They spent the next few minutes sharing stories, laughter flooding the room, even as shadows lingered in the corners of Michael's heart. Yet as Michael looked at Noah, he couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was at play. Why had life dealt them this hand? Why now? Suddenly, the doors to the emergency room burst open, a swarm of nurses and doctors flooded in, voices raised in urgent commands. Michael's heart dropped. Was something wrong with Nina? We need to go. A nurse shouted, her face etched with panic. We need to move her now. As they rushed past him, time slowed. Michael felt his breathing quicken, adrenaline surging. What is going on? He shouted, gripping Noah's shoulders, grounding him as chaos erupted. Noah, stay with me. Michael's mind raced as he scanned the scene, desperately searching for answers. The urgency in the air was palpable. But deep down, an unsettling question began to form. What if this was just the beginning of something far more devastating? What if Nina's fight wasn't just for her life but had threads that wove into their own existences in ways they had yet to understand? As he watched the crew roll Nina away, Michael turned to Noah, who was glued to his spot, wide-eyed. He felt the weight of the moment pressing against them. Whatever happens, we won't let this tear us apart, he promised. But could he keep that promise? He clutched Noah's hand tight, fighting against the forces threatening to unmake their world. The thought gnawed at him, what truth awaited them on the other side of this moment? Michael stood frozen as the chaos subsided just enough for him to catch a breath. The emergency doors swung shut behind the frantic medical team, sealing off the world he used to know. In that brief moment of silence, 1,000 thoughts crashed through his mind. Were they doing enough for Nina? Were they prepared for what lay ahead? He knelt down in front of Noah, who was still staring at the closed door. Hey, kid, Michael said softly, trying to catch Noah's gaze. Look at me. Slowly, Noah turned his eyes upward, and Michael saw a storm brewing. A mix of fear and confusion clouded those usually bright eyes. What if she doesn't make it? Noah whispered, the weight of his question hanging heavy between them. Michael's heart sank. We have to believe that she will, he replied, though his voice trembled. She's not giving up, and neither should we. His words felt more like a lifeline tossed into turbulent waters than a promise. Forcing a smile, he took a deep breath. Let us go find a snack, okay? We can even get some of those chocolate bars you love. Nina would want you to have some treats. Noah nodded, though the flicker of hope in his eyes seemed dimmer than usual. They made their way to the cafeteria, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead as they navigated the maze of twisted hallways. Each corner turn felt like a countdown to the unknown. Michael couldn't shake the nagging sense of dread. Every interaction, every smile from the nurses or another waiting family felt like a cruel reminder that life continued while their world hung in the balance. As they entered the cafeteria, the usual hum of chatter was soothing yet suffocating. Michael poured his energy into steering Noah towards the snack aisle. How about these? He asked, holding up a small package of cookies, trying to distract the boy from the unsettling reality they faced. Yeah, those are good, Noah replied quietly, still clutching his little astronaut action figure. Michael noticed how tightly Noah held it, as if it could shield him from the reality of loss that loomed over them. They grabbed their snacks and sat at a small table by the window. Outside, people walked by, completely oblivious to the turmoil around them. Michael watched a father toss a frisbee to his daughter, both of them laughing freely. It was heartbreaking. They had once been that family whole and happy. Noah's voice broke through his thoughts. Dad? Yeah. Do you think Mom knows we're here? Michael's chest tightened. He had avoided this question, the one that lurked in the shadows of their conversation. I hope so, he said, trying to keep his composure. She probably senses us. She loves us. But what if she can't hear us? Noah's voice cracked. What if she is scared? The question hit Michael like a blow to the gut. She is the strongest person I know. He forced out the words, though doubt crept in. If anyone can get through this, it's her. But as he spoke, a sinking feeling returned. Nothing was certain anymore. They finished their snacks in silence, the weight of unspoken fears filling the space between them. Just then, a nurse came bustling into the cafeteria. Michael's heart raced as she approached them. Excuse me, she said, her voice steady yet kind. I'm looking for Michael and Noah. Michael sprang to his feet, his heart thumping loudly. That's us. We need to talk about Nina, she said, and Michael's stomach dropped. Every ounce of hope seemed to drain away. Is she? He started, desperation creeping into his voice. The nurse hesitated for a fraction of a second, then continued, we need you both to come to her room. There are some important things we need to discuss. Noah looked up, fear written all over his face, and Michael felt that raw ache again, a deep, tight wound in his chest. Come on, buddy, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. As they headed back towards the room, dread coiling in the pit of his stomach, Michael felt an eerie calm wash over him. What had they just walked into? Unbeknownst to them, a revelation awaited in that quiet room, something that would awaken fractures in their lives they hadn't even begun to comprehend. Could it be possible? What news could change everything? Michael's footfalls echoed in the sterile corridor as he and Noah approached the room that felt like a portal to unknown consequences. The nurse led the way, her scrubs a bright contrast to the dull walls, while Michael's mind raced a whirlwind of possibilities and dread. Noah stayed close, his small hand gripping the edge of Michael's shirt, his knuckles white. It was as if he was clinging to a lifeline. Michael risked a glance down. It broke his heart to see the boy's face, a mask of worry and confusion. When they arrived, the nurse took a deep breath and opened the door. You can go in now, she said gently, stepping aside. Thanks, Michael replied, hardly aware of his voice. Inside, Nina lay in the hospital bed, delicate and vulnerable, the steady beep of the machine surrounding her a stark reminder of her fragility. She looked smaller than usual, enveloped in sheets that seemed to swallow her whole. Michael's heart dropped at the sight. The woman he loved, the mother of their child fighting for her life. "Mom!" Noah whispered, his voice trembling as he darted into the room. Michael followed, careful not to break the moment. He wanted to give Noah space, but every instinct in him screamed to be close to Nina, to be her anchor. Noah climbed up onto the edge of the bed, eyes shining with unshed tears. "Mom, can you hear me?" Nina's eyes flickered open, and for a moment, just a moment, she seemed to be there, truly present. "Hey, sweetheart," she rasped, her voice barely above a whisper. "We missed you," Noah said, his eyes wide, searching for reassurance. "I missed you too," Nina replied, managing a weak smile that lit up her face for just an instant before pain returned to her features. Michael felt the urge to rush to her side. He wanted to wrap her in his arms, make it all better. But he hesitated, respecting the distance that the machinery imposed. Instead, he looked at the nurse, who hovered nearby, ready to gauge how much they could reveal, how to navigate this precarious situation. "Michael," the nurse began, breaking the fragile silence. "There are some things we need to discuss concerning Nina's treatment, and perhaps, her condition." The gravity of her words landed heavily in the air. Michael felt a chill creep down his spine, his instincts screaming that they were crossing a threshold they may not be prepared for. He squared his shoulders, inhaling deeply. "What are the options?" he asked, though the way his voice quivered betrayed his facade of control. "It's complicated," the nurse said, her eyes darting empathetically between him and Nina. "In light of her condition, we need to discuss the possibility of a procedure, and also, how much Nina is able to take in right now." She faltered. "We believe she might be able to hear more than we think, but..." Nina's gaze turned towards Michael. "What is going on?" she asked, her voice firm yet breathless, determination sparking beneath her fatigue. Michael knelt down beside her, taking her hand, feeling the coolness of her skin against his warm palm. "Just some talk about treating you, okay? We're all here together." The words felt like a flimsy bandage for a deep wound. He wasn't sure what would come next, the nurse's news still hanging in the air, heavy and ominous. Noah, oblivious to the weightiness of the conversation, looked back and forth between them. "Mom, can you come home?" he asked, innocence woven into a plea. Michael held his breath, wishing he had the magic answer that could ease all their pain. Nina smiled weakly again, trying to offer comfort. "I'm fighting so we can be together. I promise." Before Michael could respond, the nurse cleared her throat. "I need to discuss options with you, Michael. But first there's also something else we need to share." Michael's heart raced. What now? What more could they possibly need to address? The revelation he feared hung over him again like a dark cloud. Just then, a sudden, sharp noise echoed from the hallway, a commotion, anxious voices calling for someone. It was growing louder, spilling into the room, drowning out everything else. "What's happening?" Michael blurted, confusion growing rapidly. The nurse exchanged quick glances with the doctor just outside the door, her expression tense. "We should check that out now, but Michael, please, what is this about?" The door swung wider, and in that moment, everything seemed to shift. What was happening outside could change everything they had just been told. Michael steeled himself. Curiosity mixed with dread. What news awaited them? Would this day bring more heartache, or perhaps a glimpse of unexpected hope? The door creaked open wider, and Michael felt a rush of air as if the world outside was surging into their intimate bubble. The nurse stepped into the hallway, her demeanor shifting. She was no longer just a caregiver delivering news. Now, she was part of an unfolding drama, and Michael's heart pounded loudly in his chest. "Stay with her," he said to Noah, trying to sound steady, but the tremor in his voice betrayed him. He didn't want to leave Nina. He didn't want to sever any connection to her, even for a moment. But now was not the time for hesitation. Noah squeezed Nina's hand tighter, eyes wide, a mix of trust and confusion shadowing his young face. "I won't go anywhere, Mom," he whispered, though Michael could see the small boy's heart racing. As Michael stepped into the bustling hallway, the scene before him felt surreal. Nurses moved swiftly with purpose, a flurry of voices melded into a chaotic symphony of urgency. He searched for the source of the commotion, but all he could see were patients and staff absorbed in a world that felt distant and removed from his ordeal. The doctor consulted with a flustered nurse just a few feet away, their hushed voices punctuated by quick hand gestures. Michael could feel the knot in his stomach tightening. An odd mix of fears tumbled through his mind. What if this was all somehow connected to Nina? Michael. A voice called out, pulling him back into focus. It was the doctor, her eyes catching his. We've had a critical situation arise. I need you to come with me. His heart sank again. Is it Nina? Michael asked, his voice barely a whisper, a knot in his throat tightening. No, not Nina, she replied quickly but seriously. It's about an emergency intake. We need your consultation now. It's complicated. Just trust me. Trust. It felt like a fragile string now hanging in the air between them. Michael nodded, following the doctor deeper into the chaos of the hospital. Together, they reached a small room where several staff members gathered around a covered figure lying on a stretcher. What happened? Michael breathed, hardly able to keep the panic from his voice. One of us will explain, the doctor said, motioning to a paramedic. The paramedic, a young woman with a steely gaze, stepped forward. We found her abandoned. Seems her situation may relate back to some medical mysteries we've encountered recently. Michael's heart raced again. Abandoned? What do you mean? He asked, his voice trembling. The girl here. The paramedic hesitated, her eyes dropping briefly to the covered figure. She might hold connections to your family. It's not just about a case of emergency, it could be what? Michael pressed, the words feeling heavy with significance. The paramedic took a deep breath. We need your DNA to confirm it, but there's a chance she's your daughter. Michael's mind reeled. A daughter? The primal fear of losing Nina had been replaced by a swirling storm of confusion and hope. He felt unmoored, as if all the ground beneath him was shifting. My daughter? He echoed, trying to grasp the enormity of what had just been said. Why wasn't I told this before? The young woman stepped closer. We're still piecing things together. But if there's a connection, and I believe there is, we need you to help us find out. This could change everything. His phone buzzed suddenly in his pocket, an unwelcome reminder of reality intruding on the moment. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen. It was a message from the nurse. Michael, we need to talk about Nina. His heart sank. There were two fronts of crisis now. Would he have to choose? Would his past and present collide in ways he had never imagined? Michael stared back towards the room where Nina lay, engulfed in uncertainty. How was he supposed to navigate this? Michael? The paramedic's voice cut through his thoughts. Yes. He asked, feeling as if he were teetering on the edge of an incomprehensible precipice. You need to make a decision. Both lives hang in the balance. But it's not just a choice, it's a revelation waiting to unfold. In that moment, everything froze. Hope, dread, uncertainty, they all tangled in a knot within him. What would he choose? Suddenly, Noah's voice broke through the haze, calling from the room. Dad! Come back. Mom needs you. What did he need to do? The question hung heavy in the air, a decision pressing down on him as he faced the crossroads of his life. Michael's heart raced as he turned back toward the room where Nina lay. Her small face seemed so peaceful, even amidst the chaos swirling around them. He wished he could hold her, reassure her that everything would be all right, but he was tethered by thoughts of another child, this girl, this potential daughter who needed him just as desperately. As he made his way back, he could hear Noah's soft cries, the wavering tone of a young child struggling to process the weight of the moment. Dad! Come back! The urgency in Noah's broken voice cut deeper than a knife, the doctor's words echoed in Michael's mind. 2 lives at stake. Was he prepared for the possibility that this other girl could become part of their lives, perhaps even more than Nina? Suddenly, a flicker of guilt ignited in his chest. How could he think of embracing an unknown child while his own daughter was fighting for her life? In the room, Nina's complexion looked less pale than before. Perhaps it was just the flickering fluorescent light playing tricks, but hope sparked inside him. She was still fighting. Noah looked up at him, worry etched into his innocent features. "Where were you?" he whimpered, releasing a breath of anxiety that hung thick in the air like a storm cloud. "I had to talk to the doctor, buddy," Michael replied, kneeling down to Noah's height. "I'm here now. I promise." But the truth was he wasn't sure if he was fully there. The weight of 2 potential futures rested on his shoulders. "Is Mom going to be okay?" Noah's eyes glistened with tears, and Michael felt his heart break a little more. "Yes," he replied, forcing his voice to maintain confidence. "She's strong. Just like you. She's going to get through this." He reached out, brushing his fingers through Noah's hair, trying to ground them both in that moment, and yet, the thought of that other girl, alone and abandoned, tugged at his conscience. How could he just walk away from a child who might be his own? He could barely imagine the kind of pain she had endured. "Michael? We can proceed with the DNA test now," the paramedic's voice cut through his thoughts again, her presence a stark reminder of the reality crashing down around him. "Wait," he said abruptly, his pulse racing. "What if something happens to Nina while I'm busy with this other girl? I can't do that to her." The conflict bubbled over like a pot about to boil, and he felt his emotions swell. "Your decision won't take her life," the paramedic interjected gently. "We're talking about 2 paths, but one of them might lead you to save both. You don't have to choose one over the other. You can fight for them both, but you must act." Michael took a deep breath, willing himself to focus. The paramedic was right, he couldn't let either child down. He had to believe that, somehow, he could be enough. After a moment of silence, he nodded to the paramedic, decision settling like a heavy rock in his chest. "Let us do the test." But before he could take another step, a loud commotion erupted down the hallway. It was a sudden surge of frantic voices, rushing footsteps. Something was clearly wrong. The doctor's earlier calm demeanor was replaced by urgency, and fear snaked its way back into Michael's heart. "What is happening?" Michael asked, his instincts on high alert. "Stay here," the paramedic commanded, but Michael felt the tug of something deeper. He had to know if it had anything to do with Nina. As he turned to head back toward the tumult, the nurse's face materialized in his mind, her message still burning in his pocket. What could she possibly want to tell him? In front of him lay the path to the unknown, a chance to learn if he had another daughter, or a warning that whatever lurked behind that door could change everything he thought he could control. And as Michael took a step, he felt the weight of 2 worlds hanging in the delicate balance of fate. Would he be leaving one life behind in pursuit of the other? With the sound of chaos echoing closer, he could only think of the 2 girls who needed him. What would happen next? Michael felt a tidal wave of emotions crashing over him as he stood in the healing spaces of that hospital, with 2 daughters tethering him to his past and an uncertain future. The sterile smells, the beeping machines, the anxious faces, it was all too familiar yet painfully foreign. That he had come to fight for Nina and Noah, to prove that he was no longer the man who had abandoned them. But now, another child loomed in the shadows, one that might belong to him, a potential daughter abandoned like his twins had once been. Should he let the past consume him, or take the brave path toward redemption? "Michael!" Noah's voice rang out from Nina's room. The urgency in it jolted him back to the present. He raced back to find Noah shaken, clutching Nina's hand. The sight of his daughter pale, yet battles raging behind her heavy breath sent a jolt through him. "What is wrong?" he asked, kneeling close, desperate for answers. "She's not waking up," Noah cried, his voice breaking. Michael squeezed his son's shoulder, his own heart racing. "Hey, she's strong. You know that, he said, forcing hope into his voice. But deep down, he felt the darkness clawing back. Then he caught sight of the nurse again, her determined eyes flashing as she stepped forward. Michael, you need to step aside. We're changing her medication, and we want to make sure she is stable. Stable. The word felt like an anchor, tethering him in the whirlwind. He had fought hard not to let fear dictate his heart. Perhaps this was where they would find out who they really were together, united against what the world threw at them. Just then, Nina's eyes fluttered open slightly. Dad? She whispered, her voice faint. Tears sprang to Michael's eyes. I'm here, sweetie. You're safe. Nina took a breath, trying to keep her gaze steady. Noah. I'm right here, Mom. Noah shouted, choking back tears. Don't leave me, she murmured, her voice trembling. The moment wrapped around them, holding space just for their family. We're not going anywhere, Michael promised. He caught a glimpse of the future. They could be reunited, heal together, and perhaps even embrace the new life brought unexpectedly back into their world. Suddenly, an intense commotion from the hallway swept through the room. Get the doctor. Now. Michael's stomach dropped. Stay with me, Nina, he urged, keeping his voice even as he ventured into the chaos. Nurses rushed by, urgency spilling into every corner of the space. What was happening? The doctor from before appeared, arms crossed, face serious. Michael, we have a situation. Is it about Nina? He gasped, panic clawing at his throat. Not just Nina. We need you to listen. That girl we brought in, she is connected to you. We need to make a choice. Michael felt his heart stop. Choice. A word that had haunted him. What does that mean? We may need a blood draw from you. It could reveal important information about Nina's condition. And if the other girl is indeed your daughter, it leads to complicating matters that could affect both lives. Breath hitching, Michael's heart swelled and then sank with the violent tide of possibilities. You're saying that if another daughter is at stake, I have to choose who to focus on? No, the doctor replied, urgency sharp in every word. You focus on both. We can fight for Nina and uncover the truth of the other girl. There's a way to save them both. Hope flickered in Michael's heart. Then let us do that. With his resolve solidifying, he connected with Noah's trembling frame waiting near the doorway. Noah, we're not abandoning anyone. No one gets left behind, not this time, Michael promised. The boy looked back at Nina, eyes brimming with hope but also uncertainty. Will she be okay? She is fighting like a warrior, Michael affirmed, wrapping an arm around Noah. And we'll help her find her way back. Together. The doctor stepped back as the air shifted. An opportunity lay within their grasp. Michael felt something awaken amidst the turmoil, possibility. They moved swiftly, and moments later, Michael was in one room while another team prepped for the unknown blood. Drawn, moments counted, everything hinging on their collective plight. He could feel Noah's weight beside him, grounding him, reminding him that through everything, love could stem frailty into formidable strength. Nina's weak voice echoed through Michael's thoughts. I'll fight. For you, for all of us. The diagnosis awaited, but there was something beyond fate at play here. Would it lead to reunification? Would the daughter's and the mother's journey be whole once more? As the doctor returned, Michael took a deep breath, feeling his resolve harden. He would stand by both daughters, he wouldn't step away. Not while life pulsed, not while hope flickered like a million tiny suns lighting the way. That it was the moment of truth. The needle entered, the connection began. And in the collective space of possibility, dreams of family formed into reality if only they dared to fight together. The battlefield would be forged anew, the love that had stood the test of time would triumph yet again, and together, they would find their way home. And with that determination, Michael realized that the strongest weapon he had was within a family, fractured but not broken, ready to embrace whatever came next. As the future unfolded, they would rise fueled not only by blood but by an unbreakable bond that neither time nor tragedy could sever. The journey was only just beginning, and it was time for Michael to carve a new path for his family. Real and connected anew. And dear reader, now it's your turn to play your part in this story. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive adventure. Engage with us, drop a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this tale of love and transformation. Share your thoughts in the comments and let me know how you felt about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. True fans know how important it is to support every moment of this journey.